Welcome back, everybody. I hope y'all are having a great 4th of July weekend. I'm here with another video in my street car this time around. I decided to take a break from the daily competition races and just enjoy the game a little, because sometimes I do enjoy just getting into the multiplayer lobby. So I'm here in my Corvette Z01 with my Texas license plate on it, and we're just doing a couple races around the Gran, which is, by the way, one of my favorite tracks in the game. Definitely my top 5 for sure. And I should note that being in the multiplayer lobby, for the ones who don't know, does not affect your driver rating or your sportsmanship rating. It's in no way, I would say, taken serious unless you're in a public lobby with some serious racers and y'all are just, in good competition with each other. But as far as just being concerned about a rating or catching penalties and things like that, it's not much of a concern. But I'm here, second lap around the Gran, against this British guy, Matty. But coming up to the straightaway, my Corvette, when it comes to street cars, has always been one of the more powerful cars in the 800 pp class. So, as expected, blew right by him. No problems, no issues. I didn't think he stood a chance, but sheesh, the way I'm just putting buses on this guy is insane. And that's pretty much how that race ended. I decided to just hop into my LaFerrari, give something with a little bit more grip a chance and more playing it to the ground. Some good competition in this race, I should add. A lot of times when you drive to join the public lobbies, sometimes it's a struggle to find guys who can race clean and just be fair and have good skills behind the wheel. So that's part of the reason why most people like to go into the daily competition races instead of the multiplayer lobbies that I'm in. But some definitely good drivers in this lobby. As you see, this guy Biscuits, I believe I'm saying that correctly, basically 200ths of a second behind me this entire time, pushing a lot faster pace than me, so I decided to go ahead and let him by. I haven't had much practice in this LaFerrari, even on this track, so everything I'm doing right now is kind of just intuition and winging it. And then the guys behind me as well, I see he's kind of running a faster pace too, so I'm gonna give him a little space. And another guy, I'm like, God dang, so they're riding a lot faster than I am in their cars. And it's like the Lamborghinis, as far as when I do the street car races, they do tend to have great lap times on this track. And I don't own one, I haven't bought one yet, so I guess I need to go ahead and give that a try and understand how they're so playing it to the ground, or maybe it's just really good tuning that they have done, because I'm not even keen on tuning my cars yet. I just add the horsepower, catch a feel for it, and go. But overall, this was a pretty good race. I'm sticking with them as best I can, but I'm not gonna lie, after this turn, they pretty much started taking buses on me, and they took off. Switched the track up. Some of the same guys ended up going to the high-speed ring this time. This was definitely one of my more favorite races in these public lobbies. A lot easier track, so definitely gives some of the not-so-great drivers a better chance to stick. As you see, we do have the heavy ghosting on. Definitely helps with a lobby like this, because you have a lot of fast cars, you have a lot of different type of drivers, so that ghosting definitely helps the race remain fair and just avoid the being bumped off the track and people messing up your line and things like that. But you have the first place guy in this Bugatti Veyron, second place the Biscuits guy again, who was, by the way, a very fast driver on the Nürburgring. Mercedes AMG, LaFerrari, and I believe this guy behind me as well, who was also on the last track, has his old school Ferrari, but the name is beside me right now. I cannot think of the name. So, a little bump from the back, heavy on the NOS, a little overtake button there, just to catch back up, tuck down in the slipstream a little bit, back to second place. Definitely a great race, a lot of fast cars. Definitely having fun with this. I love the scenery going on in this game as well. As the sun is going down, get to the shade areas like this, and then get back into the sunlight. You're definitely great. Ghosting effect definitely helping a lot, because the way he just slid by me without bumping me, it's working perfectly. Coming in a little bit hot, completely overbrake that turn into the grass, into the wall. Thankfully, I didn't get a penalty, because the penalties are heavy for the wall impacts on this game. Basically took me a whole lap to catch up to them. It was pretty much a chase and a whole lot of nitrous. Coming in on the third lap, these two guys ahead, definitely wide on the turn. Me and Romero taking a nice line, trying to cut the inside. No really need for a ghosting effect, you know. Everybody's racing clean and pretty fair, so, you know, I'm really loving this multiplayer lobby, and I love the guys that I'm racing with this time. Ferrari holding this on pretty well. Also, should I mention, Texas license plate on it. I try to represent for my state whenever I do my custom cars. Heavy on the nice overtake button, down the back straight, doing everything I can to basically catch up to this guy at this point because he was putting some distance on all of us. So that nitrous definitely came in handy. Finally got to the back of him, pretty much followed him for the rest of the lap. Coming back onto the main straight with a little bit of nitrous I have left, trying to catch up. Just not enough time, not enough distance, but such a great race. Second place, that was a pretty nice finish. Hopping over to Watkins Glen, this is a replay camera view from this guy 24 Ever. I am back in my Corvette Z01. We were having some pretty good battles going down this main straight, so I did do a couple camera views throughout this race at the start of the second lap, and this guy Racer X just shot by us. Completely missed his turn. 24 Ever also wide himself, but there's no track penalty zone, so it wasn't too much of a toll on him for it. Carrying a nice line down this back straight. I'm also carrying a nice line down this back straight, but even with him tucking it to the drop a little bit, I'm just taking off. That 940 horsepower, like once that Corvette gets to going, it's pretty much gone. Definitely one of the top end cars for the 800 pp class. Going into the end of the second lap, at some point I think we both did have a crash, and he got it up in front of me, but nice little line in the inside turn, coming down the main straight again. Early on the NOS as soon as I can. He's on his nitrous as well, and man, like that split second of time, like it's just amazed me, man. It's so quick watching it on the video, but when you're doing it in the race, it's like amazing. So I did do another camera view. I should mention that I love the way they have this camera angle. I love the animation, the gear shifting, me in my Versace racing suit, and a little head nod to the side. Like, just a beautiful camera angle that they do have on this game. I do love it sometimes when I'm watching the replays. And I did another angle from his car just to see it. Look at that vet, man. Sliding upside. You hear his nitrous going. Both of us on the nitrous pretty much at the same time, but like I said, that 940 horsepower, man. Him on NOS, me on NOS, we both get to going. It pretty much just takes off like a rocket. That thing, in my mind, is unstoppable in the straight line. Hopping over into the next race, I decided to pull out my Camaro ZL1. Engine sounds fairly the same as the Corvette, being that they're both ZL1s, but as you see, even starting off on the race, I do not necessarily have the top end speed compared to my opponents. I should mention that this was, I'm gonna say, one of my favorite cars to drive as well, because if you're not too heavy on the gas, coming out the turns is so smooth. If you're applying just enough gas to not make the tires spin, it comes out the turn so nicely. I just kind of love the way it drives, but also I think this is pushing, I think, well over 800 horsepower, so easy for the tires to slip out if you're giving it too much throttle. But very nice turn on the inside, came out nice, very smooth. Like I said, I just love the way it happens. Breaking in the grass a little bit, so it did kind of throw me off. Going out kind of wide in the grass. Passed up by my two opponents. Back on it though, not too much of a worry, just confidence in my skills and my ability to catch back up. I love the way the nighttime scenery is. We've definitely had the weather changing, or the time frame changing throughout these races, so just racing from the daytime to the night, getting to see the different sceneries. If you haven't noticed, I do not have my Texas license plate on this car. I need to go back and change that actually, because that basic Chevrolet plate has got to go. Shooting flames every time I brake downshift. In the grass a little bit. The sound of that rev limiter, amazing. I love it. Definitely nice scenery. Racing pretty good lines, both of them. This is, like I said, this is a great public lobby that we've been in. For us to be in street cars, which is normally chaotic, there's been some pretty great racers. And they've been doing a pretty good job. Pretty much was chasing them down for the rest of that lap. Going into lap 2, tucking in behind the slipstream of this Corvette, trying to catch back up. Ghosting effect, like I said, very strong, coming in handy perfectly because you're not racing a bad line, but just 2 different paces, 2 different lines a little bit, so it definitely came in perfect for both of us. Nice little line through that turn, and I'm getting so caught up in everything going around, I completely overbraked into the wall. Devastating 5-second penalty, slips out again, a double tap, 15-second penalty. That race, that's over with. I can't even get back in the straight. That's pretty much how that went. Skipping forward, this is actually a clip of my daily races. I didn't want to post it because we're doing Watkins Glen, and I already have enough content at Watkins Glen as of at the moment. But if you see, I did get my rating up to the AS, which is what I've been working towards for this long. So I've accomplished my goal, and I'm still making progress. So y'all stay tuned for the next video, and I'll catch y'all next time.